Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome to the fam. If it's your first time here, we're glad you joined us. Hit that like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. So here's the deal. Squadrons of Houthi drones just flew right into Tel Aviv's airspace. America? They're not sitting back. Washington just shipped over the so-called Death Hunter to the Middle East. Meanwhile, a U.S. ambassador is throwing shade at the attacks on Yemen, while the Houthis say straight up that American strikes are only hitting civilians. The UN. Tel Aviv has to let aid into Gaza. And get this, the Red Sea's practically shut down, which is hitting Israel hard. Food lines are popping up in Tel Aviv, like for real, for the first time ever. Turkey's warning Israel about messing with Syria, and Erdoğan's not mincing words. You're gonna pay, big time. Well, Iran's now threatening to kick out nuclear inspectors, and DC's making it loud and clear. Trump ain't ever letting Tehran get a nuke, no matter the cost. So yeah, this is straight up shadow warfare. The US and Israel know who's hitting them and where it's coming from, but the real question is, how do you stop this? Even military experts are scratching their heads.
According to Reuters, a Houthi military spokesperson said they hit 2 Israeli targets in Tel Aviv using Yafad drones. They also launched a bunch of ballistic missiles at the US aircraft carrier USS Harry S. Truman. Wild, right?
Then the Intercept dropped a bombshell. Over 30 Democratic lawmakers asked the White House to immediately stop the strikes on the Houthis, saying it's unconstitutional without Congress's approval. They want legal receipts, the costs, the funding, all of it. A rep from Diamond Progress warned this could spark another disaster-level war in Yemen. And the National Interest reported that the UN and Western diplomacy actually helped the Houthis gain power, accusing the US of playing a major role in that. They say humanitarian aid's become a backdoor money source for the Houthis, and the international community's been looking the other way since 2016, basically handing them political legitimacy. Plus, pulling the Houthis off the terrorist list just made the crisis worse, with the UN and the global community now holding the bag for this mess. If nothing changes, this could spiral into full-blown catastrophe. In another twist, Axios reported that the U.S. Navy's Indo-Pacific commander confirmed they moved a Patriot missile battalion to West Asia. Took 73 separate flights to get that done. Logistics nightmare.
Former U.S. Ambassador Charles W. Freeman slammed the continued airstrikes in Yemen, calling them pointless and super expensive, over $1 billion and still no clear win.
Then Newsweek revealed Trump himself was stunned by the Houthis' tech. He straight up said, "These guys are building super advanced, super tough missiles. Nobody saw that coming." General Brian Fenton, head of U.S. Special Ops, chimed in, saying America's firing $2 million missiles to knock down $5,000 drones. He called it a totally flipped cost-effectiveness curve. On the flip side, U.S. military strategists are now rethinking their approach.
The strikes are targeting Houthi weapon factories and command centers to stop Iranian weapons from getting through. It's all about reopening shipping lanes and pushing for a political resolution in Yemen.
Meanwhile, there have been massive anti-American protests in Yemen, like millions on the streets, claiming US attacks have only hit civilians and failed big time. Washington's lying about protecting shipping, and it's really all about backing up Tel Aviv.
One political analyst called Trump's talk about assassinating Houthi leaders unrealistic, saying US strikes haven't taken out any major figures, just civilians, and haven't managed to hit key bases. That's according to the Washington Post.
Now, switching over to the Palestinian front, the United Nations said Israel is legally obligated to provide food and healthcare in Gaza. Things are getting dire. Bakeries have shut down. There's no clean water, and life-saving medications are gone. The United Nations warned that forced evacuations might be leading to a permanent mass displacement, with over 2/3 of Gaza's population either displaced or in no-go zones. Egypt's Foreign Minister, Badr Abdel Ati, said, "Stopping the war and rebuilding Gaza is priority number one." There's even an international conference coming up in Cairo to figure out how to start recovery, with Arab, Islamic, and global players on board. The private sector is going to be key. Saudi Arabia's foreign minister echoed that, saying the ceasefire needs to happen now, and humanitarian aid has to get in with no strings attached. He rejected any plan to kick Palestinians out and showed support for Qatar, Egypt, and the United States' efforts. Turkey's foreign minister also called out Tel Aviv, urging a ceasefire and real negotiations. And politically, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's under fire back home, but that's a whole other story. So check this out. Protests have been popping off against the war, but the government's not having it. They're calling it a sign of weakness, and they're saying, flat out, anyone pushing to dodge military service is getting kicked out. They're even blaming some foreign-funded group for organizing these petitions to bring down the government. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak came out strong, warning that Tel Aviv is facing a real threat to national security. He straight up said the situation's teetering on the edge of collapse. According to Barak, Netanyahu came back from Washington totally humiliated and let down. Trump apparently hinted that the war might be ending soon, without Israel hitting any of its big goals. Barak also questioned if military pressure on Palestinian groups is doing anything at all. He said it's not going to get hostages released. It might even get some of them killed. In his view, the whole war feels politically motivated, just a stunt to keep Netanyahu's government from falling apart. He told Israeli Channel 2 that the only real move now is to get the hostages back, even if that means pulling out and ending the war altogether. Meanwhile in Tel Aviv, a full-on economic crisis. Switching gears, things are looking rough in Tel Aviv. The Israeli paper Yedioth Ahronoth reported that the economy's tanking hard. For the first time ever, people are lining up in the streets just to get food packages. Yeah, actual food lines in Tel Aviv. Thousands of Israelis are struggling to make ends meet. A Knesset member, Amir Kohan, pointed fingers right at Netanyahu's government, blaming them for rising prices. He warned that some folks literally can't afford basic meals anymore. Analysts say Yemen's naval blockade on Israel is making things way worse, with some calling this one of the worst crises Israel's faced since it was founded. That's from Yedioth Ahronoth 2. Turkey versus Israel tension heating up over Syria. On the international front, Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan had some words. He said Turkey isn't just going to sit around while Syria's stability is threatened. At the Antalya Diplomacy Forum, Erdoğan made it crystal clear, messing with Syria's unity is a red line for Ankara. He said Syria's security is directly tied to Turkey's, and now's the moment to finally lock in real peace, especially after Assad's regime fell last December. He accused Israel of trying to destabilize the region with its attacks on Syria and Lebanon, and by stirring up minority groups. In a straight-up warning, Erdoğan said anyone trying to drag the Syrian people back into suffering better be ready to pay the price. Turkey's not letting that happen. Syria's safety is Turkey's safety. Meanwhile, the Israeli military says they've been carrying out advanced defensive missions in Syria, involving some serious weapons systems. And just to add more fire to the mix, the Turkish presidency confirmed that Erdoğan is still working diplomatic channels to lift international sanctions on Syria. He emphasized Turkey's ongoing support for stability in the region, just like they've been doing for years. And over in Iran, nuclear tensions back in the spotlight. Now, let's talk nukes. Ali Shamkhani, a top advisor to Iran's supreme leader, just threatened to kick out international nuclear inspectors and hide enriched uranium if military threats against Iran keep escalating. At the same time, Iranian Vice President and head of their atomic energy organization, Mohammad Islami, said Iran now has a deep, self-sustaining nuclear program, despite the West trying to shut it down. Meanwhile, U.S. Special Envoy Tiff Witko told the Wall Street Journal that Trump's red line is clear. Iran's not getting a nuclear bomb. Period. Witko said the U.S. wants Iran's program dismantled but is open to negotiating a deal, as long as it includes tough verification systems. He also said Iran's first meeting with the U.S. would be all about building trust, not hashing out detailed terms right away. Thanks so much for watching. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the latest updates. At X News, we're all about keeping it real and giving you news that actually makes sense. Catch y'all in the next video.